So in the last session, we covered the multivariate t-square control chart, and we'll continue with the same idea of multivariate control charts, but this time it's going to be multivariate exponential weighted moving average chart. So this is a logical extension of EWMA chart that you may have seen earlier. We have this non-centrality parameter lambda. Obviously, this is also t-square chart. One key difference is that in t-square chart, once you decide like whether the next data point is out of control or in control, we are looking at most recent data point, and we are not looking at the history. In EWMA, we also take into account the prior knowledge. So this is a ARL, average run length comparisons between t square and ME, which is our multivariate EWMA control chart for various non-centrality parameters to capture the shift. If you consider, for example, lambda zero point 0.5, the smaller shift, t-square chart, if you have like two variables, if you are monitoring two quality characteristics or variables, it will take 116 runs to catch the shift. So smaller the value here, more time it is going to take. Whereas M or multivariate EWMA can do the same thing in only 28, about 28.1 on an average runs. So you can see like immediately how much you can save. So 70, 86, 88, about 88 run difference. So t square will be late by almost 88 runs. If you have three variables, it's going to take even slightly more time on t square and slightly more time, not that much, on ME. And usually, at least the one I showed you in Kaggle notebook, so that is actually designed for values in terms of like the variables between 2 and 10. So P ranges from 2 up to 10. If you are monitoring up to 10 variables, that method will be useful. So more variables means this is going to increase at a much steeper rate, t square 162, but this one is still 48. If you have shift non-centrality parameter to detect a smaller shift of 1.5, so compare with p equals 10, you can see 44 and 10, almost 10. So more than 4 times more runs are needed on a t-square chart. So that's the biggest advantage of using multivariate exponential weighted moving average chart, that you can detect smaller shifts much faster. And detecting like smaller shift much faster also means a lot of savings, because then you can take your corrective action much earlier rather than waiting for a longer time where it can create a lot of quality issues. I will jump into the Kaggle and go through this data and explain the outputs, and then we'll come back and wrap this session. So this is going to be M11. So we'll continue to use this library that I used earlier and quality control charts library. The extra library I'm using is mass, and I think it may be better I copy this to the next one, keep it separate. So we simply run the first part to keep our libraries like ready that are needed for plotting the control chart. Okay, so what I'm doing here is we are storing basically four means. So 25, 10, 17, and 15, you can think of this as mean for four different variables. And we are also defining a covariance matrix. So this is like made up data. You can think of these as like impurities or whatever characteristic that comes to your mind. So we have created this covariance matrix by giving certain values. Number of rows and number of columns is 4 because we are thinking about P as 4. So 4 variables. So once you run that, basically it does nothing else, simply like stores this information in M and CV. So for example, if I run M, selecting and simply running M, so same values are stored here. And similarly, if I run CV, that 4 by 4 matrix that we defined has the same exact same values as we have designed. Now the next thing I'm doing is I'm drawing 10 random samples from multivariate normal distribution. So because this is a multivariate chart and we assume that the variables follow multivariate normal distribution. And while drawing these random samples, most of the packages actually you have to specify a random seed, because if you do not specify a seed, every time you draw a random number, the numbers will be different. So I'm using this seed of 100, which means every time I run or draw random samples from multivariate normal distribution, I will have exactly same data points. That's the only idea. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when you do it, when I do it, when you do it next time, when I do it next time, like every time we do it, we get the same outcome. So that's the random seed. So the outcome of multivariate random normal distribution with mean M. Now what is M? M is this that we specified, and sigma or the variability is captured in covariance matrix that I have designed here. So that information gets stored in D1. So that's the only thing it is doing. In the next line, I want to include, I want to generate like new data points with different means. So compared to this, now we have like 1.1, 0.6, 1.1, and zero point 0.7. So clearly, we are shifting the mean in M1 and then store the whole thing M plus M1. So your original M versus plus the new M, and covariance matrix or structure is same. So that data gets stored in D2, and I'm taking a sample of 15 this time. And then we combine everything into one and place it under D. So that's the, we are binding the data together. That's why this is called R bind, so row bind. So if you run this, you don't get any output because everything is actually stored after running. But if you want to look at what is inside D1, select D1 and run. So that's the data we are talking about. So you have 10 rows. You can think of like 10 subgroups and 4 columns. So 4 variables. So that's your P. And you can see this is drawn with the mean of 25. You can see 25. So the values are around 25. And for the second variable, average is about 10. So you can see the numbers hover around 10. And 17 and 15, you can see similar numbers. And the variability comes from covariance structure or matrix. If you look at M1 simply has these 4 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, so exactly same thing. And D2 is now with that extra shift M plus, like 25 plus 1.1, 10 plus 0.6, 17 plus 1. So that's a very small shift compared to the original mean, and we are storing that in D2. So if you run that, you can notice that the values are like more, slightly higher than 25. And similarly, this is 1, so even third one is slightly more than 17 most of the time. So that's your 15 rows. And then when we combine the two into one data set, now you have 10 plus 15, 25 rows. So that's our entire data that we are going to use. Now with multivariate MEWMA control charts, we also have a parameter called lambda, which is basically a non-centrality parameter used for detecting mean shift. So whether the mean is shifting, that can help with that. So if you run that, that value is about 1.045. And finally, if you run MEWMA with this data that we have created, and this is our covariance matrix. We are using M because we want to develop control limits based on original M, not the one with shift. So that's why we are using the original M. And sigma, we are using a situation where sigma is known. So if you run that, it gives you this output. So your control limits are at 12.73. Upper control limit is 12.73. And it repeats your covariance matrix that we designed earlier and the mean vector. So you can see like 1 up to 10 points with which these control limits are made. And then 11th point onward is with the shift that we introduced artificially using this M1. So we added M1 to M to create the shift in mean. But you may notice that the last 15 points have a shift. So immediately after 10, 11th point onward, there is a shift in mean, but 11th point is not out of control. So you have to wait till 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17 point is the first data point or subgroup that gives you a signal that the process has shifted in terms of mean. outside the control limits. So there is a presence of special causes of variability that is causing mean to shift. So this thing is not like immediate. It takes time to catch because this increase or shift in mean is not like large compared to the original means. You can see these values are quite small. So 1.1, zero point 0.6, 1.1, zero point 0.7. So compared to original values like 25, 10, 17, 15, these are still very small shift in the mean. But MEWMA chart is able to capture that without much hindrance. So this is the chart I showed you. So it took MEWMA chart 7 observations to detect this change. So this is the point we saw out of control. So this basically makes a case for why MEWMA chart. Why not like we use our t-square chart that we had earlier and plot it there, and that should also work. But if we have a process where even small shift in mean is very critical and we want to catch it early, you can see t-square chart is not the one that is going to help you quickly. 10 plus 15, 25 subgroups on t-square chart, same data, but it raises a flag at 24th data point or subgroup. So at 24th point, it detects presence of special cause and it says that the mean has shifted. But remember our data to the right of subgroup 10, so all those are with shift in mean. So it took 7 additional observations because earlier it was 17 data point was detected, now it is 24th. So 7 more data points to detect the shift in mean vector compared to EWMA chart. We can also like see very easily if these changes are even smaller, it is going to take much larger time to really capture that. So just for the sake of comparison, let me save this so that we don't lose. So I'm going to reduce it by about half. So in fact, that change is so minor that even 25 subgroups are not enough. So it may take more time before it detects when it goes out of control. So I'm going to increase this to 25 or maybe 30 just so that we can see that. So it is so minor that it doesn't detect any shift. So this is how we can use EWMA. So to summarize MEWMA, it is you can see easy to apply. So especially nowadays with computing power that we have, we don't need to do all the calculations by hand. So that way, once we arrive at the control limits, it's easy to monitor. Robust to non-normality assumption with when especially when your lambda is smaller, it's robust to the assumption of normality. So even slight deviation, slight skew in the variables p can be handled without much problem. It is sensitive to small mean shifts, and also it is well documented. So there has been a lot of research related to this. We have a paper in 2001, Molnau, Prabhu et al., like 1997. So design related information is available, and a lot of discussions by Testik et al. In 2004.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rai, for introducing a very nice concept and lecture on this. So that means we can finish in 30 minutes early as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.